Hello students, I am here with our next topic of Agro 235 course, that is Rainfed Agriculture and Watershed Management. So in today's lecture, my focus is on what are the crop adaptations, different mechanisms to conserve water, mechanisms to improve water uptake. See, before start of this topic, what we learned in previous lecture, that is different types of droughts, what are the strategies of drought, and then we learn effect of water stress or drought situation on physiomorphological characteristics of the plant. Okay, so this part is quite related with our today's topic. Okay, so we'll start with our first part. Adaptation means what? See, adaptation means it is structural or functional modification in plants. For what purpose these modifications are there? Just to survive or to reproduce in particular environment. Is there any particular climatic situation or environmental condition? Just to survive in such climatic or environmental condition, the plant has few modifications. These modifications are related to structure of the crop plant, or these are related with the functioning of crop plant. Okay, so this is crop adaptation. See, crops can survive and grow under moisture stress condition just by two ways. Which are the different ways? Here you can see. So crop can survive by these two ways, by escaping drought situation or by resisting drought situation. Here you can see on this slide. So crop adaptations for dryland agriculture are mainly divided into two parts. Few crops can escape drought situation and few crops can resist drought situation. See, this drought escaping means what? It is just avoiding, sorry, it is just avoiding the period of drought situation. See, many short duration, for example, desert plants germinate with rainwater and they can mature in 5 to 6 weeks, within 5 to 6 weeks. Or escaping means such kind of crops, they have no mechanism to overcome soil moisture stress. And these kind of crops are not drought resistance, isn't it? The plants which can germinate and complete their life cycle within few weeks, these are called as ephemerals. You can see here. So drought escaping means they completed their life cycle before drought situation or before moisture stress situation. Okay, see, in cultivated crops, early maturing before soil moisture stress is the main crop adaptation just to drought situation in dryland areas. Next is drought resistance. So plants can adapt to drought condition just by two ways again, by avoiding stress situation, or here you can see, by avoiding stress situation or by tolerating this drought situation. Okay, so let's see what are the different uh, crop adaptations for avoiding this drought situation and for tolerating this drought situation. Here you can see I have quoted few things here. Conserving water. Few crops can conserve water and few crops can improve their uptake. For example, early closing of stomata, lipid deposits, then modifications in leaves, development of awns, water storage in plants. Then here you can see for water uptake, efficient root development, then high root to shoot or root to top ratio, increase osmotic pressure. Okay, like this you have to see these kind of crop adaptations. Okay, see, so in that first, in a drought resistant situation, it is what we can say, this drought avoidance means what. So it is quite ability of plants just to maintain favorable water balance and turgidity. Okay, so when they exposed to drought condition, they can maintain favorable water balance and their turgidity of cells present in crop plants. Favorable water balance most of the time is achieved by two things. One is by conserving water by restricting transpiration. These are water conservers, and by accelerating water uptake. Here you can see again, by conserving water and by improving water uptake. Okay. So next part is what are the mechanisms are there in plants just to conserve water. So here you can see first is stomatal mechanism. See what happen if drought resistant varieties are there. These what drought resistant varieties open their stomata more rapidly, especially in the morning session when moisture stress is minimum. So this kind of mechanism can conserve water in plant body. Next is increased photosynthetic efficiency. See, when stomata are closed as a it is a mechanism against water loss, the photosynthesis is also affected due to reduction in entry of carbon dioxide through the such kind of closed stomata. Okay, so some plants overcome this problem by their increased photosynthetic efficiency. See, most of the time, C4 plants have higher photosynthetic rate than C3 plants. So, what are the examples of C4 plants like sorghum, maize, pearl millet, sugarcane? So, these can photosynthesize even when carbon dioxide concentration is up to 100 ppm. Next, cam plants. So, these cam plants open stomata only during night when they take carbon dioxide into leaves and store it as organic acid, especially during day. See, carbon dioxide stored as organic acid is released inside the leaf, and this is utilized in photosynthesis of that particular crop plant. Okay, so cam plants are highly drought resistant plants, okay, compared to these type of plants. Next mechanism is lipid deposit. Some plants reduces water loss by depositing lipids on their surface, and plants suffers under moisture when plants suffers under moisture stress condition. That means if moisture stress situation is there, so that plant can deposit lipids on leaf surface just to reduce water loss, okay, and to conserve water present in plant body for further uh, what we can say for functioning of different activities. Okay, what are the examples? So we can mention two examples here. I have already mentioned on first previous slide. Example is sorghum and soybean. Okay. Next mechanism is reduction in leaf area. See, most of the plants can reduce transpiration. How they can reduce transpiration? We already discussed this part in a previous lecture also. So, some plants can reduce transpiration by reducing their leaf area. Okay. So, water deficient or water stress reduces tillering or branching, so which reduces the leaf area, and this results into less transpiration. So drooping of leaves is another mechanism for reducing this leaf area. Okay. Next mechanism is morphology of leaf surface. So leaves with thick cuticle or waxy surface, or sometimes we can see spines are also common. So these kind of characters are very effective to reduce transpiration rate. Most of the time, pubescence increases leaf reflectance, and this is reduces solar radiation incidence and ultimately reduces transpiration rate. So that plant can conserve water in plant body, in its body. Next is effect of ons. So how it is helpful for water conservation? See, most of the time ons contribute 12% of photosynthesis to the grains compared to the transpiring area of ants. Okay, so contribution of ants to the photosynthesis to the grain is more. So it ultimately reduces transpiration of leaves, and it is helpful for water conservation. Okay. Next is water storage in plant. See, water stored in plant is considered as an adaptive mechanism. For example, pineapple. The pineapple leaves contain water in special non-chlorophyllous tissue, especially in drought situation, and this reduces and transpiration rates of these this pineapple plant are very low compared to most of the plants. Okay, so these kind of mechanisms, water storing mechanisms, also we can see in plants just to for water conservation, just to avoid what? Yes, just to avoid drought situation. So these are various mechanisms. This kind of various mechanisms we can see in plants just to avoid drought situation. If drought situation is there, so crops can use these kind of mechanisms to survive in particular climatic situation or particular environmental situation. Okay, let's move to next part. Few mechanisms are there to improve water uptake. That first is efficient root system. See, drought avoidance is helpful by well developed deep root system. So if well developed deep root system is there, crops can easily avoid drought situation with high efficiency for the extraction of water from deeper layer. Okay, so deep, well branched and rapid growing root system is helpful in absorbing more moisture or more water from lower depth of the soil. See, this root system is important morphological adaptation that helps in drought resistance without loss of productivity of that particular crop. Okay. Next mechanism is root to shoot ratio or root to top ratio. See, if the roots are more compared to transpiring shoot, as we know, transpiration is there. That means transpiration means loss of water from plant body, and that part of plant body which is exposed to the sunlight, that means above soil part, is more responsible for transpiration. So if roots are more compared to that transpiring shoot or top, water balance can be maintained. Next is we can say drought increases root growth and root shoot ratio, which is important mechanism of drought avoidance. See, most of the time this drought situation also increases root growth compared to shoot. Next is increase in lipid phase conduction. Just to maintain high water potential in plants, water uptake and water conductance is important. So, reducing resistance to the watt is obtained by increasing diameter of xylem vessels or by increasing number of xylem vessels or xylem tissues. Next, here you can see that is osmotic adjustment. So as you already know, these kind of uh, physiological terms. So osmosis means what and all. So water stress condition breakdowns carbohydrates and proteins, which increases solute concentration of cell sap. It results into reduction of osmotic potential. See, in slowly developing deficient ability of the crop plant to lower their osmotic potential is very useful. In water deficient, importance of osmotic adjustment to maintain turgor pressure when water deficient situation is developed. See, this turgor pressure decreases leaf water potential and even water content also. So therefore, plants able to withstand low water potential and water content without damage to the any type of tissues. Okay, so these are mechanisms related to drought avoidance just to improve water intake. Okay, next is drought tolerance. So in drought tolerance, you can see I want to focus again on our previous slide. Yes, here you can see drought tolerance. This drought tolerance is done by maintaining high water potential and by high degree tolerance. Okay, so in maintaining high water potential, few adaptations we can see in cropland, that is formation of thick cuticle, maintenance of high osmotic pressure. Okay, so in drought tolerance, tolerance of the crop plants to a level of stress where or at which 50% of cells may die. Just a drought tolerance means what? Just to make stress less severe or by showing high degree of tolerance. That means drought tolerance. And here this drought tolerance is reduced by mitigating stress. So stress is minimized by resisting dehydration or by maintaining higher osmotic pressures without accumulating higher amount of any type of solutes in cells. Next, drought tolerance, here we can mention that is high degree of tolerance. So high degree of tolerance and divide into two parts, metabolic strengths and plastic strengths. So metabolic strengths means here adverse effect of drought situation on metabolism of the crop plant, and this effect or this influence is known as metabolic strain. I will repeat again. Adverse influence or adverse effect of drought on metabolism of the crop plant is known as metabolic strain. See, in plants, death of cells occurs due to reduction in carbon or nitrogen metabolism. Uh, Young leaves are more drought resistant than older leaves just due to higher protein content. So, in severe moisture stress condition, stomata closed permanently, which results into cessation of photosynthesis and starvation of the crop plants. Okay, so if we want to reduce or tolerate this drought situation, we can follow one thing, that is, we can remove older leaves also, because younger leaves are more drought resistant or drought tolerant compared to older leaves. Next is plastic strain. So plastic strain means here we can mention irreversible loss of plant tissues just because of this severe drought situation. And this mechanism involves killing of transparent portions and by keeping propagating materials without desiccation. See, in many perennial plants, the above ground parts die off during drought condition, and underground parts, for example, rhizomes, bulbs, tubers, they remain alive but in dormant condition. Okay, so these are different mechanisms here we discussed in today's lecture. This part is again important. See, most of the time this crop adaptation table I have given on this slide is very important for you in exam point of view. Okay, so this is our next part related to uh, crop adaptations and different mechanisms to avoid drought situation. Okay, thank you.